3-foot-high mounds mark the limits of life's progress. But more important than the mounds themselves was their waste: oxygen. These new gases, at first toxic to all life, gave rise to the ozone layer. Shielded for the first time from the sun's damaging ultraviolet rays, life became unstoppable. One and a half billion years ago, the cell developed an additional membrane to protect its genes, a nucleus. Now, life was so abundant that every drop of water teemed with organisms. 800 million years ago, the first multicellular organisms began to appear. For a while, multicellular animals just meant collections of identical cells. But gradually these colonies began to have cells that were specialized for different purposes. The first multicellular animals that had specialized cells were sponges. Some of the cells pumped water, and some filtered out tiny bits of food. Anemones and their relatives had muscle cells and nerve cells. This enabled them to bend, stretch, and flex. But none of their great cell diversity enabled them to move. Staying put was a common trait back then. "600 million years ago, an ancient worm was the first animal to develop a centralized nervous system. It had nerve cells that ran the length of its body, and a concentration of these cells at one end formed the first primitive brain. In fact, this was the first animal with a head, and light-sensitive cells in that head were the world's first eyes. It could recognize both the direction and intensity of light. Since it could both see and move, this worm interacted with the world in a very different way. For 100 million years, sponges, anemones, and flatworms dominated the ocean. Then, all of a sudden, if you can call 30 million years sudden, a huge variety of creatures appeared. This event is called the Cambrian explosion. Here is a stunningly developed marine worm. In the course of the Cambrian explosion, competition for food caused both predator and prey to become extremely sophisticated. This is the top predator of that period, a terrifically capable hunter. The Cambrian was a very dangerous time. Only slightly lower on the food chain, another deadly predator prowled the ocean depths. This one had 5 eyes on top of its head and a single extendable claw it used for hunting. Every animal group alive today had its origin